हम लोग एक न्यू चैप्टर के साथ आए हैं, चैप्टर 4, जिसमें हम लोग कवर करेंगे बोन एंड बोन के फंक्शंस और उसका क्लासिफिकेशन। तो इस चैप्टर को हम लोग एक पार्ट में नहीं, इस चैप्टर को हम लोग 3 पार्ट में कवर करेंगे। तो फर्स्ट पार्ट में हम लोग बोन और उसका एक क्लासिफिकेशन, जिसमें हम लोग बोन को कैसे लोकेशन वाइज क्लासिफाई करते हैं, उसके बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे। तो पहले हम जानते हैं कि मस्कुलोस्केलेटल सिस्टम क्या होता है। मस्कुलोस्केलेटल सिस्टम हमारी मसल और बोन से बना हुआ हमारी बॉडी का फ्रेमवर्क होता है। तो उसमें सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट आता है हमारे बोन्स। हमारे बॉडी में कई टाइप के बोन्स आते हैं। अब बोन्स क्या होता है, उसका क्या फंक्शन है, वो कैसे कैसे डिवाइड किए गए, उसको आज हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे। सो फर्स्ट विल स्टार्ट विद द डेफिनेशन ऑफ द बोन। सो बोन is a connective tissue. Connective tissue means it helps in connecting the one part of the body to another. So bone is 1/3 of the connective tissue that helps in forming the framework of our body or a human body skeletal system. So now we'll move on to the functions of the bone. The function of the bones is, first point, it supports the body. It helps in forming the framework and supporting the body parts. Second, protection of soft organs. All the visceral organs, they give protection. Third, it helps in the movement of the attached skeletal muscles. The muscles which we are moving, it helps in the movement of the muscles. Fourth, it helps in the storage of minerals and fats. Fifth, it helps in the formation of bone cells like RBCs, WBCs in the bone marrow. Now we'll move on to the classification of the bone. So can you see this diagram? In this, bone classified into 3 types. So according to shape, according to location, according to dynamic stability. So now in this part I will be discussing more about location. So bone is classified according to its location into 2 types. First one is axial skeleton, second one is appendicular skeleton. In axial skeleton we have skull, we have rib cage, we have vertebral column. In appendicular system we have shoulder girdle plus upper limb, and in lower part we have pelvic girdle plus lower limb. So now we will be discussing about the axial skeletal system. So as you can see, classification of bone according to location. As you can see in this diagram, the red portion which is there like skull, the rib cage, the vertebral column, it considered as axial skeleton. And the blue portion, the peripheral areas, the peripheral bones which are situated comes under appendicular skeleton system. So axial skeletal systems forms the longitudinal part of the body. It is divided into 3 parts: skull, vertebral column and thoracic rib cage. You can see in the diagram, the green portion is the axial skeleton. So we'll move to the first part, skull. In this skull we have 8 cranium bones and 14 facial bones. So we will be discussing about 8 cranial bones, like we have 4 frontal bone, parietal bone, temporal bone and occipital bone. So we have pair of all the bones which together makes 8 cranium bones, and we have 14 facial bones. So now we'll move on to the facial bones. As you can see, we have nasal bone, we have ethmoid bone, we have lacrimal bone, we have sphenoid bone, maxillar, zygomatic, mandibular. So all these together consist facial bones. Now we'll move on to the vertebral column. Vertebral column is made up of 5 levels: cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral and coccyx. So in human normal adult we have 26 vertebrae, but in children's, infants, the vertebrae are not fused, so we have 33 pair of vertebrae. So we have normally 4 normal curvature in the thoracic vertebra. As you can see, cervical region, thoracic region, lumbar region and pelvic region. So all the vertebrae have intervertebral disc inside them. So in cervical region we have 7 vertebrae, in thoracic we have 12 vertebrae, in lumbar we have 5 vertebrae, sacrum constitute 5 vertebrae which are fused together to form 1 vertebra, and coccyx we have 4 vertebrae which fuse together to form 1 vertebra. we'll move on to appendicular skeletal system. It is divided into two parts. Appendicular is peripheral area of the bones. So it is divided into two parts. First upper portion and second lower portion. Upper we have pelvic girdle and upper limb. Upper we have shoulder girdle and upper limb. In lower we have pelvic girdle and lower limb. So we'll move on to the upper part. Upper we have shoulder girdle. Shoulder girdle is made up of scapula, which is present on behind of your back, clavicle, which is present in front, or it is called as collar bone also. In upper limb we have one humerus bone. In forearm we have two bones, radius and ulna bone. Carpals, we have carpal in the wrist area, which are 8 bones. We have metacarpals, 5 metacarpal, and we have small phalanges, which are 14 bones. So all we have paired for both the hands. Now we'll move on to lower segment, which constitutes of pelvic girdle plus lower limb. So pelvic area we have pelvic girdle, 2 hip bone plus 1 sacrum bone. In the pelvic girdle there are 2 hip bones and 1 backside fusion of all the sacrum vertebra forms sacrum. So we have sacrum. In lower extremity we have 1 thigh bone called as femur. In the leg region we have tibia and fibula. In lower area we have tarsal bones, which are 7, and then 5 metatarsal and 40 phalanges, same as your upper extremities. So these are about the overall bone of the body. Now in the next lecture we'll discuss about other classification of bones. Hope you like the lecture. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.